Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. We are waking the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time.
What if your biggest competitor isn't another business, but your own self-doubt? How do you plan to conquer that? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we're helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing expert authors in one of our newest books. This one is called The Complete Small Business Growth Guidebook: Brave Strategies for Authentic Success. You guys don't know how excited I am about this book, and how lucky you are that you're about to get some golden nuggets from some pretty freaking amazing people. I have Melissa Henry in my Zoom room. She's the CEO of Hell of a Brand, where they turn CEOs, founders, and visionaries into industry icons and thought leaders. Pauline Panito is the CEO of Little Hill Coaching, helping salon owners streamline processes and cultivate a positive team culture for lasting success. Tanya Stokes is here. She's the CEO of Compassionate Designs, where they design your vision with passion in mind. And Karen Alegi is an attorney in Maryland and an experienced business owner. She loves to share her legal and business knowledge with entrepreneurs on how to build their empire. Welcome, ladies. How you doing? What's happening?
Great.
Excited to be here. Thank you.
This interview series has been such a blast, and I'm so excited to wrap it up with you all. You guys are the last one in this Complete Small Business Growth Guidebook interview series. My passion for this topic is humongous because mainly I think back to when I started my business and also into the first couple years, and I'm like, man, I would have loved this book and just been able to be guided by the strategy, but also the community that you all are. And so what we're doing for people is magnificent. Tanya, you're going to start the party off today. Why did you say yes to this business book? What's the why for you?
Well, hey everyone, my name is Tanya Stokes, and I am chapter 15 in this beautiful work of art, a business visual masterpiece, graphic design that establishes identity and sells. So my why behind my chapter evolves around empowering readers to see design as a tool and not just the aesthetics. You know what I mean? Like the goal is to illustrate how impactful design can tell a story and invoke emotion and create lasting connections with your audience. In my chapter, I share some insights and some strategic nuances that will help the reader to make sure their brand gets out there visually and ultimately help them to achieve the business success through meaningful, authentic design.
So in terms of the visual, I know that one of my problems has been that's not my strength. And so I love going out to people like you who it feels like your superpower is that you see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that sometimes we as entrepreneurs, we don't know you guys don't do it. Don't go to Canva. I'm telling you, go to somebody who knows what they're doing so that they can bring your vision to life and it doesn't look like you pieced it together, right?
Yeah.
But what's the most important thing about that you want people to know? What's the tip there about the vision in terms of their visual aspect of it?
Well, the very first thing is to be able to communicate with your customers. Sometimes they don't even know what they want. So you got to hey, you mean you like this or you like this? And sometimes they just can't articulate it. So being able to have that type of relationship with your customer, to be able to pull it out of them, it's it's stressful, but in the end, you get the product that you want your brand to be recognized for. So that communication, that being able to be flexible. I have customers that say, I'm sorry to be a bother, but I want to make this one last change. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. What do you want? How do you feel when you see it? And that's the whole thing about it. When you look at a product that someone's developed for you and you say, damn, that looks really good. Like she did that. Like she saw it, she put it together, and this is going to be it. No matter what everybody else thinks about the cover or any product, if you feel like the customer, like, yeah, that's it right there. So communication would be my biggest thing. Yeah.
So that sounds like something that you really enjoy. What's your favorite piece in terms of like what you're actually doing in the creative process in terms of design?
The research part.
Ah,
The research part. I have like 3 monitors. You don't see them now, but and I go head in first with, okay, she said this or he said that. Let me look up a title and see if that title is the same as another title. What do they have going on with their book cover or with their logo? That's an interesting, to just, get different ideas from different sources and be able to bring something back to the table with, this is what I envisioned. Is this kind of sort of where you, and the going the back and forth, like it drives me too. Like they're really into it. They're not just saying, Tanya, create something and let's put it out there. They really want it to be perfect. So the research part.
Tanya, thank you for what you do and for being here today. You guys, the cover is a design collaboration. And we're going to be talking to Melissa in just a few minutes about her piece in that. But my shout out for now is to you, Tanya, for just thank you for being a part of that and for being so patient to get those things right. It matters, and it's a big deal to me. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Karen, tell me about the why behind your chapter.
Sure. So I wrote chapter 22, which is Protect Your Empire. And in this chapter, I discuss the legal documents that small business owners need to have in place at the beginning of their journey. And this is the topic that I love talking to folks about. I've realized over the 20 years of my career, what I loved about my job was sharing my knowledge and educating clients, colleagues, friends, and small business owners are really the heart of the economy. And a lot of times I found that folks were intimidated on the legal side of things. And people have a misconception that it's complicated or too expensive, or they'll just get to that when they get to that. But I like to educate folks to understand that it's not complicated, not too expensive. And really your lawyer should be one on your team from the beginning when you venture out as a business owner. So I love having this conversation with folks and relish the opportunity to share it in this book. Because I have a passion for small business. I've owned businesses. I like to call it building your empire because I think you need to take it seriously from the beginning. You really are building something special and unique, and you need to protect it and put those legal documents in place.
Oh my gosh, there's so much about what you just said that I want to comment on. First of all, I love that piece in your bio because I took my business to empire level with the help of people like you. And when I realized I needed the legal team, the finance team, and that is freaking scary, you guys. That's scary because you don't think you can afford it, but then you need it. And so I love that you love what you do, Karen, because it's scary to me. Like, I love that you love it because you could make it real for me in a way that I saw the possibility. What do you want people to know about that piece of it?
Exactly what you just said. My chapter talks about personal estate planning documents, which of course everybody needs, but once you become a small business owner or you're starting that journey, what I find is a lot of times those folks ignore their personal needs because you're so focused on the business. You think you'll kind of get around to all that stuff later, but then later never comes about. So I love to get in to work with folks in the beginning of that journey. The legal documents that everybody needs are powers of attorney and a will. And for small business owners, you have to have some really important, not only thoughts about how you're going to structure your business, but what happens if you can't run your business? What happens if you can't communicate, if you're all of a sudden in the hospital or something tragic happens? Somebody's still got to answer the phones, respond to the emails, communicate with your clients. If you have the right documents in place, you can cover all that. Also, a last will and testament, everybody needs that, but now that you are building your business, this is an asset. You're building an asset. And there are a lot of considerations that you need to think about and put in writing in the beginning of the journey, because especially if you've got any family members that are partnering with you, or maybe adult children that are working with you, it is so critical to think about what happens when you need to pass this on, and write it down, put it in writing. And that is very intimidating. Laura, you bring up a great point. It sounds intimidating. It sounds, I mean, these are big deals, right? We have to think about death and not being able to communicate, but I like to make it very approachable. I break it down, something very easy to talk about. It's important to me because it is something that I know and I'm so comfortable with. I want to bring it down to a personal level and share it with as many people as possible, because if it's neglected, it really just creates so many problems down the road. And I've seen the problems too over the course of my career. I've had to get involved when folks didn't have these documents in place from the beginning, and it's really a problem later. So it's protecting yourself, your assets, but also ensuring that your family, your loved ones have what they need when you aren't able to be there. And it, for me, it's not complicated. So if I can share that and my knowledge with other folks, I mean, not just, I love that. I love talking with clients, and Laura, even, what you just said, makes me feel all warm and fuzzy, like the light bulb goes off and you realize, oh, it's not that complicated. I shouldn't be intimidated by this. I can afford legal advice. And then once you get your documents reviewed, your documents in place, you have a sense of relief that now you've got that in place and you can focus on your business and build that empire. Every step you take grows your empire. And now you have a real asset, that'll benefit your family. And I think you need to think about it that way. Protect yourself. In the beginning, you are the business. So you can't neglect your own personal legal matters, your personal financial matters. Think about your business team. It should include a lawyer and a CPA and a financial planner. And yeah, that sounds like a lot and intimidating, but it's really not. And I just love being part of that team for clients. So I'm so excited to be part of the book.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, Karen. Thanks for saying yes to this. You guys, I think when you think of that team, it's important to have those pieces in place for all the reasons Karen just talked about. And I had them in place in the beginning, but then 5-7 years went by. I needed them updated. So that's the other 2 cents I will add to this conversation, is that that old one might not be exactly what it needs to be even 5-7 years later, especially if you're growing and your asset changes. And then all the things, right? We could talk about this one literally for the next 3 hours. It's juicy, but I'll go back to one more thing, and it's the feeling of relief that Karen just talked about. Like, that freedom thing you signed up for as an entrepreneur, this is part of how you get that feeling of freedom and relief. So more from Karen in a minute or two, you guys. But let's move to Melissa. Melissa, tell me the why behind your chapter.
Awesome. So I wrote chapter 4, which is Express Your Uniqueness: Secrets to a Jaw-Dropping Brand. And the reason that I wrote this chapter is because coming out of the corporate world and launching my business, like, full time, I had one, part time for longest time, really. But that was one of the most challenging things I think I've ever done in my life. It took me like a whole lot to finally quit. I was in a pretty toxic situation at work, but it really took a whole lot to get me out of that. But what I learned through that experience is like, it's so important to find out what makes you unique in your space. It's really the positioning that's important here when you're actually setting up a business. So the idea is like, how do you know why you are the perfect fit for your client, the one you really want to work with? And I wrote the chapter so because at the time when I was coming out of the corporate world, I actually lacked confidence in what I was doing. That's why I stayed in that world for so long. So I wanted really other women entrepreneurs like me to go through the exercise that I have in that book, in that chapter, and really see not only what makes them unique, but also see all the incredible accomplishments they've made, all of the skills that they've built up over the time that they've been either in business or if they're kind of transitioning, but over their lifetime, all of these things that they bring to the table. It's such a confidence builder. And I really wish that I had known how to do this back then, because honestly, I think I would have left a lot sooner.
No doubt.
Yes.
No doubt. All right, you guys, this is going to be a really cool opportunity to do a little share with you of this beautiful cover, because
Mhm.
when Melissa sat down with me to create the art on this book, it's called Galaxy Girl, by the way. She brought me through a process where I got to the place with this art and I thought, I mean, like I saw myself in that woman sitting on the rock there, but I also, even though she's sitting there kind of back, in back of her friends in the front, she's alone, but she's not alone. Right.
Mhm.
So small business entrepreneurship can feel so lonely, but in this book, in this community, we know we're not alone. And I loved the feel and I loved the process, Melissa, that you took me through to get to that place where we were like, yes, this is it. This is the feeling. What's important about that? What do you want people to know about getting to that feeling?
So is the question getting to the feeling of how something looks like that, the idea of that jaw-dropping brand? Is
Yeah.
that where
Why
you're
is that
going with that?
important?
Why is that important? Oh my God. So I talk about confidence, right? So when you get to this point, and Tanya even talked a little bit about that earlier when she was talking about how she's working with her clients, very similar. But the idea is when you get to that point where you can see the visual of what you feel inside, that's like incredibly confidence building. And also just, it makes you so proud. You're like,
Yes.
I'm totally going to show up now in a bigger way. So many
Yeah.
people hide. They don't post, or they don't get out there. They don't go to networking events, or they just think it's too scary perhaps to get out there and show who you really are. And sometimes it can be. It's like, it's a little vulnerable, really. And I think, but when you hit it, you're like, I can't stay hidden anymore. So to me, that's the real power in doing this.
So I haven't really said this out loud before, but I actually think it's one of the keys, if not the key, to sales. If I do not have the confidence and pride in what I'm presenting, I will not sell. I will hide.
Yep.
And so, like, once you guys get the feeling of it, the game is changed. Melissa, thank you for doing that for me
Oh,
and
you're
helping
welcome.
me turn that corner so that every time I share, it's just confidence and just this badassery that I share with versus the, oh, am I being too sales? No, like that
Mm-mm.
whole thing just went away. I'm like,
Yes.
listen, I'm here to change lives. So
Right.
when you have the confidence and the visual, it's a big deal. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you
I've
for,
seen that I've seen that change in so many people
yeah.
where they're just, oh my God, I'm so ready to go now. And
Yeah.
it's a reframe.
Yeah, a big one. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thanks for being here today to share with everyone.
course.
All right, Pauline, you are up next. I want to hear your why.
Oh my goodness. So I'm Pauline. That was all so fabulous. I'm just like, oh, I'm so motivated and inspired by you ladies. So I'm Pauline Panito, and I wrote chapter 6, Process Systemization, Business Growth on Cruise Control. And I think I'm just hearing, and it's resonating with me, the why. I was a small business owner for 15 years. And when I started my business, I was so like inspired to do it, but I had no idea what I was signing up for. So I went around doing all this tactical work for so long and not realizing that people were looking to me for direction, and I wasn't systemizing, and I wasn't creating processes around the vision that I wanted. So I was super excited about my vision, but I actually I felt like I wasn't sharing that with everyone. So being able to clearly, um, uh, being able to clearly connect with people and let them know my why. So my why is that I was able to just come to the table and create clarity for what I was doing, as clear as kind. So I wanted to create clarity for the people that worked for me. And when I retired from my business and I happened on all these amazing small business entrepreneurs, I was like, damn, I wish I'd known all this stuff before when I had my business, because I did feel lonely most of the time in my business. I really felt lonely. I really felt isolated. And I think there was just a whole lot of information that if I had had at the time, I think I would have shined a little bit more. Now, I did my best, and I certainly was brave a lot of the times um, when I just kept going. You need that resilience as a small business owner, and 51% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. And without that resilience and that belief in yourself, it's very difficult to continue. So I was so excited to be a part of the small business book, to be able to let other people know that if you have a small business, you're not alone. There's help out there, and we can help you. So that was my why.
I want to back up to what you said about providing clarity for the people that were working with you. I think that's, you kind of sped through that, but I want to come back to it because I think it was really important, because that environment that you're setting up for them makes all the difference. Don't you think? What do you want people to know about that in terms of them being able to do it for their people?
Oh my goodness. When I would go into my business and if I would change something, it was like the world stopped for everyone. They were like, what is she doing? Oh my God. If I took a pencil and moved it from one side of the desk to the other, people would all start panicking in the back room. Why is she doing that? And so I felt like, oh, when I happened on like making sure I was documenting everything, it just created bringing the team together and being able to say, okay, why are we doing this? This is why we're doing this. Give the people a reason why you're doing it. Don't just tell them what to do. And so when you're creating documenting processes, you also have to be making sure that you're communicating with your team exactly why we're doing it. And so making sure that I had an employee handbook and a training book, and again, just being clear as kind. So bringing my team together and saying, okay, what is keeping us up at night? What is the pain points? These are my pain points. How can you help me make this better for all of us? And that led me down that, okay, how do we do things here? And that's the simple question you just ask yourself. It's not complicated. It's just, how do we do things? And then, oh, this is how we do this. This is how we make the coffee in the morning. These are our opening procedures. These are our closing procedures. And everybody just knows, oh, that's how we do it. And when you want to change that, you got to bring the team back together. Don't just change it willy-nilly. Bring the team back together and just be constantly communicating your vision and your ideas and your excitement for the business and the growth. You can't grow on your own. You need people with you to help you.
Pauline, thank you so much. Thanks for saying yes to this and for being here today to share. She said it in 3 words: clear is kind. I love that. I wrote that one down, Pauline. Huge shout out to all 4 of you real quick. Just, thank you for saying yes to being a part of this, but also thank you for being so brilliant with that challenge I gave you to put your personal story in this book. I think across the board, when I look at business owners, they're not getting personal. They think that they have to be professional, so they can't offer personal, vulnerable story because it's against some weird rule. But I've said it before, like if I hire a coach and I line up 100 people to interview, it's going to be the one that I'm nodding my head to their personal story, the one that makes me feel like they know what I've been through because they've been through it. That's the person I'm going to hire. So when you all took that on and decided to put those stories in this book, that is what we're doing when I say we're not doing business as usual. We're going to change up the way that we connect with people. So important. And I love you all so much for doing that with me. It's going to change things big time. So I have a few more questions for all of you. And I want you to think in terms of like, what's the most important thing you want people to know about these things I'm going to ask you about, right? Because any one of these next questions, honestly, these are so juicy, y'all. Like these conversations are so juicy. We could be here for hours on any one of these. Karen, I mentioned this stat in the beginning about self-doubt, right? Your biggest competitor. So I'd imagine all of us battle or have battled in the past with some self-doubt. What's the most important thing you want people to know about self-doubt in terms of like what worked for you in your journey?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. And I can remember when I began in the legal field, I was in litigation and it was very intimidating. I was going against attorneys that were older than me, more experienced, and, had an air of superiority about them. It was intimidating, but I just had to keep telling myself, I have the same degree that they do. I have the same license that they do. And I'm relatively smart person. I think I got this. And celebrating the wins, and feeling good about the wins. But at the same time, I think it's not just in business, but in life. If you don't love yourself, if you don't value what you do or think you're worth it, why would anybody else? I think you have to just at some point, you need to be your own cheerleader, because if I have a great friend that she has the mantra of nobody treats my friend like that. But she says it to you when you say something bad about yourself, because you wouldn't treat the people you love poorly. You wouldn't put them down if they fail. You wouldn't say all these negative things to someone you care about. So why would you do that to yourself? So that's, I think, what's missing for a lot of folks in their personal and professional life is you need to have confidence in yourself. You're there for a reason. You're there. You're at the table. You have a right to do your business. So you must be good at it. So believe in yourself, because if you don't, why would anybody else?
I love the way that you kicked off this question. Okay, let's see what else we can add to that, you guys. It's just going to be hard to follow that one. Melissa, you're up next. So what about that self-doubt for you? Like, what do you want people to know? One most important thing, you guys.
Well, I mean, obviously, I agree with what Karen was saying. And I think we go through this. I think as a business owner, you go through highs and lows, and it's like a freaking roller coaster sometimes. So you're like, oh, this is great. I'm having such a great day. And then it's like on the heels of that, it's like, oh my God, everything is shit the next day. So just expect it. It is part of this
Anyone
entire
resonate with that?
thing. Yes.
Like it just a
Yep.
little bit. Yes.
This and what Pauline said earlier about what she's saying, sometimes you just feel alone, and when you're alone, you think you're the only one going through that. And then you go online and you're like, everyone's posting about how great their business is, and geez, that's great. Mine sucks right now. So I would just say, in those moments, don't go on social media at all. Like, just turn it off.
Yeah.
Get yourself into conversation with someone who lifts you up, who is a business owner, because they get it. And then the other thing, and this is something I did very recently for myself. And by the way, I'm going to say what you said earlier about, being authentic and really sharing the real stuff. I just did that online, and I was like on LinkedIn, and I hesitated before I did, because I was like, you have that feeling inside, like, oh my gosh, if I post this, people are going to think like I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm not professional, or whatever the case may be. But I just said, hey, look, I was having a moment. So I went and I wrote down a list of all of the opportunities that I know are in front of me, because I was forgetting about them. I was focused on the negative. And when you do that, you get more negative, right? So I said, okay, forget it. I'm just going to put a list of all of the opportunities that have come up recently. And I had like 15 things that came up. And it was like, some of them were potential clients. Some of them were just collaboration opportunities. Some of them were even just like outside of my business. I was like, damn, there's so much available to me. So forget this BS about I don't know what I'm doing, or there's nothing in front of me, or whatever goes through your head. Um, yeah. So I would just say, all of those things, just, seek out the things that will cause you to look at the positive versus the negative.
Yes. Amen to that focus. All right, Pauline, you're next up on this. What about that self-doubt, and what do you want to add to what's already been said? A lot has already been said. Thank you, ladies. This is a juicy topic.
Yeah, I don't know if I can add a whole lot more because that was amazing. The one thing I always tell myself is that my thoughts lie to me. So just because I think it doesn't mean that it's real. And so I've learned to step back, and we call it in positive intelligence, see more of the elephant, because I'm only seeing it from a perspective of just my emotions. So let me zoom out. And Melissa, I saw your post on LinkedIn and I thought it was amazing. I loved it. I liked it actually. Yeah, it was really great. And again, um, I, I always tell myself, well, I'm not perfect and I make mistakes and I don't always get it right. But what is my intention here? And when my intentions align with who I feel like that's my essence and what I want from life and my life, for me, family is the most important, and my friendships, all those things, and my making sure that I have authentic connections with people. Like I want to know, I don't want to know the surface stuff. I want to know really who you are deep down. And so I just tell myself, I'm not perfect. My thoughts will be lying to me. I can step back like Melissa and say, well, what have I achieved? What is going, using a appreciative inquiry? What is going well? What have I done that worked out really well? And then I just kind of let all the other BS, like you said, Melissa, just fade away and just keep going.
Love it. Don't believe everything you think. Yes, ma'am. All right, Tanya. It's hard to go last on this one, I think, but I know you have a 2 cents to this.
I mean, everyone has said everything I wanted to say, but Pauline, that my thoughts lie to me. Oh my God, I'm going to forever. It's on a sticky note because I have thrown in the towel so many times, and it was just like, you know what? I don't know if I'm great. I don't know if I'm good. But that thought process of just sitting by yourself, not going on social media, and thinking of all the things that you have achieved thus far. And when I go back and think, you just did like 4 book covers in the last 6, 7 months. You just did 6 logos in the past 6, 7 months. Everyone loved their product. Why are you sitting here sulking? It's okay. And the whole thing about feeling lonely and you don't have that, you're like, damn, I'm in this fishbowl by myself, like a beta fish. What is going on? So definitely reflecting on the accomplishments that I've had so far, surrounding myself with people who love and adore me and know that I am capable of doing these things, and getting out of my head, because we tend to stay in there, play around a little bit, swing on the swing set on we play around, and then next thing you know, we look up, you're like, oh, you got work to do. But yeah, basically stay out of my head. I now have my thoughts lie to me, and reflect on my past accomplishments. So that's what I've been doing.
I love the way you all answered that question. I think it's going to really help people understand they're, first of all, they're just not alone in with what we do in our head, and especially as business owners. So y'all are amazing. All right, I know it's going to be a struggle, but I'm going to need the one most important thing you want us to know about branding, Melissa.
I can do one word.
Okay, I would
but I
love
will
to hear it.
I'll give you a little expansion on it if you want. But it's about positioning. That's
What's
exactly
the
what it
one
is.
most important thing you want us to know about the positioning aspect of branding?
Yeah. So I think what I want you to know is that it's important to focus on that. And I know a lot of us, when we're coming into this business world, we're our first concern is getting clients. And that's important, obviously. And I think there's a certain amount of experimentation that is really kind of warranted initially. You're trying to see, can I get this thing off the ground? Do people even want it? But once you've figured that out and you have some sales and you're starting to develop a process and all of those things, the next thing is to really think about who else is doing what I'm doing and why am I different? How do I talk about what makes me different? And the reason is everybody, when it comes to positioning, everybody has something in their mind, or like the way that they would characterize what you do, and they're going to come to the table with it already. So it's your job to show them how what you do is actually different for them. Like, in other words, like, show them what you do is made for them. And there's lots of pieces to that I don't think we have the time to go into. But my point being is that to sit down and figure out what makes you different, why you in this space, why for those particular clients, you start to get real clear about this stuff. It's a no-brainer. Your messaging follows, and it's so clear. Pauline talked about clarity. Same thing here. Getting so clear with that. And I think most business owners don't want to spend that time, because guess what? It's not the sexy thing. It's not the marketing that everybody, like, they want to jump into the marketing. And I'm like, you can't, because you're going to be chasing, and throwing stuff up against the wall and seeing what sticks. And that's a waste of your time and your money. So do this first. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, and thank you for attempting to summarize it, because I know you guys have so much to offer. It's one of the most amazing things about the book when you guys go pick this up, the Complete Small Business Growth Guidebook. You are so lucky to have this strategy kit at your fingertips. Melissa's going to dive in for you generously, as all of our authors are going to do, right? And we are all, I think, givers. We want people to succeed. We want to be generous about the value we're gifting people. You guys are going to read it in every single chapter in this book. Pauline, what's the most important thing about creating processes for your business do you think you want people to know?
I think creating processes gives you freedom, and it helps you enjoy your business more with the people you do business with. And ultimately, for me, that is what I want people to strive for, like just to enjoy having that small business and let go of the loneliness and the frustration. Have effective communication. Communicate. After you visit Melissa, then you come to me with your vision, and then I'll help you just like make sure that you can communicate that in a really great structured way, so everyone is, again, consistent, because consistency in your message is consistency with the client experience. So ultimately, it does build your brand when you have those documented systems. It helps with training and, bringing new people on board. And you can go away to your cottage or on your boat or on vacation, and your business will hum along, and you don't have to worry because you're not doing all the work.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the freedom, y'all. Okay, this is such a perfect chance that Pauline gave me to also shout out Jonathan Probert of chapter 10, Build a Business That Can Run Without You, because between Pauline's chapter on processes and Jonathan's chapter on creating the SOPs of those processes, you guys, I'm telling you, the freedom is a capital F, and freedom and relief. Right.
Mhm.
So, Jonathan also happens to be my son. I'm super proud of him. You guys aren't going to see him on an interview, so I get to shout him out. I get to be the mom today for this one. Tanya, tell me what the most important thing about graphic design is you think you want people to know.
Um, I think for graphic design, it's the storytelling part. I love the fact that when you went when you did the cover for this book, and you went in and you explained how you felt when you saw it, and you envisioned yourself in the cover, and it pulled you in. It made you want to open up the book cover. So the storytelling of it all for me, um, it's grasping, it's captivating. It's like, oh, what is this? Let me pull that off the shelf. Let me flip it over and open it on the back. Oh, who is that? Okay, so for me, yes, the storytelling.
I love that answer. When you're looking at this beautiful cover, like, so whatever you guys are creating, look at it yourself and say, what story is this telling? The person who's looking at it, your perfect, amazing, ideal client, is getting a story from your visual. Very interesting, right? It would be interesting to ask people like what story they're getting from that. I love that idea of what you just said about design. Okay, Karen, I want to know the most important thing you want us to know about our legal documents. This is, I think, a tough one, a one thing answer, but I'm curious.
Well, I think it's the easy answer is have your attorney as part of your business team from the beginning, right?
Good answer.
Another issue I want to educate people on is your lawyer should be somebody that you involve in the beginning of any journey, not somebody you go to afterwards when you've got problems. The solutions get a lot more expensive when you're reactive rather than proactive. So you should have an attorney that you establish a relationship. And like you said, Laura, the documents you put in place today are probably going to need to be changed in a few years. And that's fine. That's not a problem. That's expected as your life changes. But I'd love people to start thinking of lawyers as a partner that you work with in the beginning, and you set your business and your professional life on the right path from the beginning. And then you head off all of this trouble and headache that might happen down the road. So yeah, and interview a bunch of lawyers, consult with lawyers, interview different ones, find somebody you work with, you trust, somebody you like, and make that person part of your team. And again, it's a business partnership that's going to grow and expand, but really just to not be scared of the legal side of things. It's not complicated. Just get your attorney as part of your team in the beginning.
This is such incredibly important advice, you guys. So even though that might sound a little scary or a little expensive or whatever. Oh my gosh, if I went back, I would be setting up that professional team from the beginning. I'm guiding Jonathan in his startup, and he's going to be doing things so much differently than I did them for this reason, and he is going to thrive because of it. And getting the legal advice on the front end of the things you're setting up. Oh my gosh, again, the freedom and relief, it comes from some of the things we're talking about. We all go, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want that freedom, right? And then we're doing it backwards, though. So we're burning out on our way to getting the freedom because we haven't put some of these things that create it in place first. Can you tell I get excited about this? Okay. Last question.
Right. So instead of putting out fires, you don't want to be right. You're putting out fires because these problems keep popping up because you didn't do some of the things. And again, this book is amazing because it's all these chapters of very practical, tangible things to do for no matter what your business is. Everything from the standard operating procedures, from getting your graphics, what is your business, who are you before, like Melissa said, before doing your marketing, what are you even marketing, putting these things in place first and doing it right from the beginning, right? Which I guess we all said the same thing. We wish we had this book when we started our journeys. But that's why it's so fun to be involved in a collaboration like this, because it's golden advice. It's a treasure trove. So it's really exciting to be. And even if somebody just takes 3, 4, 5 of the 30 plus topics in here, it's going to make a world of difference in their journey. And again, you're building your empire, right? One day at a time.
One of these chapters will change your game, y'all. They'll change your life and your business. All right. I have one really important question for all of you to finish off today with. Okay. And I have to model this because I need it in one sentence. It's going to be tough. All right. So I walk around sometimes and I think about what all of us have been talking about here is like, oh my gosh, if I could talk to that Laura that started her thing back in Brave Healer Productions was 2016. I would say, Laura, invest in yourself and take more risks faster. So, Pauline, one sentence, what would you say to that, Pauline?
Oh my goodness. I would say believe in yourself and be as authentic as possible and know your intentions behind what it is you want to achieve.
Yes, with an exclamation point, believe in yourself. Tanya, what's your sentence? What would you say to that Tanya in the beginning?
You got this.
Yeah.
I like that sentence. I love it. Yeah. I love it, Tanya. Karen, your one sentence.
Don't blend in with your competition, stand out.
I love that one too. Ooh, these are golden nuggets, y'all. Melissa, you're going to be the last sentence.
Uh-oh, the pressure is on. Well, what was going through my head is a little bit different. And I guess what I would say is, trust your intuition, and not everything that appears to be the golden ticket is really the golden ticket. Most likely it's not.
Really, really important to trust your intuition on this journey. You guys have everything you need right here. You have everything you need now in this book because the strategies are freaking phenomenal. To all of you today, Melissa, Tanya, Pauline, Karen, thank you so much for what you do in the world. And thanks for being here today to share it with everyone. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Same to you, Laura. Thank you.
So you guys, you may have heard something today that gave you the goosebumps. Maybe you have a question. Maybe you need some support or you need the strategy. This is way more than a book. This is the most generous community I have ever been playing in terms of business growth. Drop down into the show notes. They're all hooked up with their websites. Please go explore and find out what they are up to, because It's amazing and awesome. And you can actually join us for a little book launch party. We're going to have that on October 31st, Halloween. You can wear your costume. All right. 6 p.m. There's information down below. I'm going to gather with all of our complete small business growth guidebook authors, and we're going to be doing a really huge giveaway of some massive prizes. You do not want to miss that. You can go over to Amazon and buy your book today too. I hope you guys grab your copy. It's going to be a business changer. Lastly, today, everyone, remember your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.
Mhm.